You've dealt with shooters of all skill levels. You've got one of the premier marksmanship, like probably the premier marksmanship academy in Canada, probably one of the best ones in North America. You've probably dealt with people who have never fired a firearm before at all the way up to, I know for a fact you've probably worked with tons of absolute professional shooters, some of the best in the world. If someone is looking at getting into this space for the very first time, but they're feeling super intimidated, because I mean, we looked at probably 4 or 5 firearms today, and all of them were 10, 11, 12,000 US dollars just to, at the entry level is what some people are going to see when they're looking at this. Like, I need to spend $12,000 to get into long range shooting. What would you say to those people to make them feel a little less intimidated? And if you were to point them in a path to get on this road, what would you say to those people?
I think if you look at any equipment heavy sport that's out there, and I'll give it a little bit more of an extreme example, but let's say race car driving. Nobody's going to go out and buy a NASCAR for their first race car. You're going to start a younger person off in go-karts. And this is what I'm going to compare. You fit in a firearm, an optic, and bipod, and just some basic equipment into a budget. And then research the firearm that fits within your budget. And when I say firearm, your weapon system, the whole package. And a caveat to that, spend most of your budget, if not all of it, on the optic. Then get a quality firearm to accompany that quality optic. Now, everything is budget based. Set your budget first, then move into whatever that optic is, whatever that firearm is, the bipod, and then get out to the range. One of the calibers that I still promote, and there's going to be a massive amount of conversation probably over the next comment that I'm going to make, but I encourage it because it's what I continuously see on the course. I think your 308 is your best bang for the buck for new shooters to start out on. If you want to be a great long range shooter, just like I said, have strong fundamental skills.
308 is a good way to start.
308 is an amazing way to start because 308 is not a good long range caliber. It is a short, fat, inefficient projectile that in flight is greatly affected by the changes of the environment that it's passing through. Why does that make you a better shooter? Because you had to pay attention to the environmental factors. If I have you shooting at 600 meters and you're shooting a .338 Lapua Magnum, you don't care what the environmental factors are because they have no effect on a round that's doing 2,850 feet per second with a 300 grain projectile at 600 meters. You're talking about a trajectory or a culmination point of probably 18 to 24 inches. Its time of flight is so short, there's so much energy being carried to the target that wind is going to have very little effect on that projectile. So people lose sight of having to concentrate on mirage, concentrate on wind changes, wind direction, and so forth. But yet my 308 shooter, he's very aware of that. And he knows that if he presses and releases that trigger in a left to right wind, when he's set for a right to left wind, he's going to miss. So if he's aware of that, it makes him a great shooter. And these are the reason why most of our school guns are based in 308. We really try to push that caliber. For learning, yes, and there's a cost aspect to that too as well, as you know. I can get into a more exotic caliber. There's some amazing short action calibers. You got 6 millimeters, the 6.5s, there's 6.8s, we got 7 millimeters that are out there now. They're starting to become popular. There's so many great exotic calibers. But with that, high performance becomes a cost consideration because we're burning our barrels out quicker. I could say to you, Josh, run out, get yourself a 6.5 Creedmoor. Let's say you got 2,000 rounds out of that barrel. I can put you into a 308, and with proper care and maintenance, and what I mean by care is don't overheat your barrel. You shouldn't overheat your barrel with any caliber. But with proper care and maintenance with a 308, with a quality barrel, you're probably going to get close to 10,000 rounds out of that. That's a lot of training.
And the cost of the round itself.
Yeah, comparative, right? We'll say I wouldn't want to go any lower than 308 for starting to get into the ELR thing. Like I love 5.56, or 2.23. Real cheap guys love the 22 thing and stuff. And I think those are different sports. But if you want to get into the long range game, I think that first thing we're trying to chase as people just getting in, 500 meters, 600, 800, 1,000. The 308 is going to be your caliber, I think, that you want to seek out. High quality, very consistent 308 ammo are available everywhere. And a lot of the match grade ammunition we're seeing from manufacturers have low extreme spreads and SDs, which are going to be a huge help to your shooter because it's going to be able to keep small group sizes on target at range, and it keeps down that frustration. For our shooters who haven't heard of extreme spread, I really encourage you to Google that and see what we're talking about with extreme spread, because having a little bit, even as a new shooter, of extreme spread will help you not be frustrated when you're at the range on your own. And so I guess that's a very long-winded answer again, but that's the caliber I would recommend for shooters looking to get into long-range shooting.